What's happening, everyone? James Lynch here. Max Holloway is going to be defending his BMF title against Dustin Poirier, UFC 318 in New Orleans, July 19th. And here's the thing, guys. At the time I'm recording this, the fight is not official. I got the heads up the UFC is going to be announcing this later today, so I'm recording this ahead of time. And this way I can make the video a little bit longer and go a little bit into some more insight on the video instead of rushing to get the video up, because that's usually what I like doing. I also have an interview at the same time they're supposed to be announcing it, is what I was told. But great fight. Let's talk first about the fight getting put together. This makes a lot of sense. Dustin Poirier getting his homecoming fight, his retirement fight in his backyard, fighting in New Orleans. That's great. And he wasn't just going to fight anyone. It wasn't just going to be some random ranked opponent. It was going to be a legend. And Max Holloway fits that bill. Now, I know some people will be like, what's this in this for Poirier? He's obviously got the 2 wins over Holloway already. It's the BMF title. I mean, that personifies Dustin Poirier in terms of his career if he can go out and win a BMF belt at the end. I don't think much of the BMF belt, but I know a lot of other people do. So this just kind of makes sense. And I think the matchmaking here is on point. The only other fight I maybe would have wanted to see was him and Justin Gaethje just finish off that trilogy. But this is also a very good fight. Gaethje's right up there near a title shot. So maybe that's sort of where he's thinking. Again, at the time I'm recording this, we're waiting to see what's happening with the lightweight title. But yeah, love the fight. Great matchup. Good for the fans in New Orleans. I think that's great. Let's do a quick tale of the tape between these two, and then I'll go through some of the history between these two in terms of their previous fights. So Dustin Poirier is 36 years old. He's 5'9" with a 73-inch reach. You've got Max Holloway, who's 3 years younger, 33 years old, 5'11" with a 69-inch reach. So Poirier's going to have the reach advantage. Holloway's a little bit taller, and he's 3 years younger. Now let's go back to their very first fight, which was back in Max Holloway's UFC debut. Imagine that. You got 4 fights in your career, and you get signed to the UFC, and then they're like, yeah, you're going to be fighting Dustin Poirier. And at the time, no one knew how great Dustin Poirier was, but that fight was, very interesting because Dustin Poirier is still the only fighter to submit Max Holloway in his career. Ilia Topuria was the first one to knock him out, but Poirier being the first guy to submit him, that is a win that has aged very gracefully. And granted, that was back in February of 2012, but nonetheless, very big win there for Poirier. So then they had their rematch, and by the way, that was at featherweight. So let's be clear about that. Again, 2 totally different fighters back in 2012 than what we're getting here in 2025. But they did rematch for the interim UFC lightweight title back at UFC 236. And I couldn't remember what happened because I remember there was a bit of a short notice for that fight. And I found an old interview Poirier did with MMA Junkie. We'll go read it right now just to give a bit of context to that fight because I know people will reference that. I know it was a while ago, 2019. But here's the quote here. Despite that Poirier was not the promotion's first choice, a fight between number 2 Tony Ferguson and Max Holloway was offered, but Ferguson did not accept. My understanding was, and you guys let me know in the comments, I believe Ferguson got in some trouble or something. There was some issue he had, like a personal issue, whether it was, I think law enforcement was involved. And so I think that was part of the reason that fight didn't come to fruition. I doubt Ferguson would not accept a fight. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. And again, this was because the reason they did an interim title back then was Khabib Nurmagomedov was suspended because of the brawl with Conor McGregor. So that's why they did the interim title back then, just to give a bit of context. So it was a bit of short notice as far as it getting put together. And when was this interview done? So February 2019 was when the interview was done, and Poirier ended up fighting him in April. So I guess not a ton of short notice. For some reason, I thought it was shorter than that. Anyways, just wanted to point that out. Poirier won the fight. I believe everyone felt like he won that. I remember watching that thinking Poirier won, but let's go have a quick look on MMA decisions anyways to see how people scored it. I think this stuff's important, again, to kind of make sure we don't forget things. So Poirier defeats Holloway. It was a unanimous decision. Did any media score it for Max Holloway? 1 media member scored it for Max Holloway. Sorry, Kendrick, you're the odd man out here. But yeah, everyone scored it for Poirier. So I kind of felt like Poirier won that. So again, they're having this rematch all these years later. And let's look at their last few fights just quickly. Obviously, Poirier, losing to Islam Makhachev, but putting up a very good fight in that one. And then he obviously turned back the clock as an underdog against Benoit Saint-Denis. Dominant win there, finishing him in the second round. Lost to Gaethje, beat Chandler, lost to Oliveira. So it's been win-loss, win-loss. If you're kind of going by that, Poirier should probably win this, right? If we're kind of going by that. And then Max Holloway, obviously, he had that amazing BMF title fight with Justin Gaethje back at, so that was at lightweight, and then got knocked out by Topuria. I still haven't heard yet, and you guys let me know in the comments, is Holloway permanently moving up? I don't know if that's like a thing. I would hope so, because I don't really see a point in him. I don't think people want to see him fight Volk again. So, if he does stay at lightweight, I think there's more exciting fights for him. He's kind of fought everyone already at featherweight, but yeah, he gets knocked out by Topuria. But I mean, again, Topuria knocked out Volk. Like, not a bad loss there, and I thought the fight was fairly competitive prior to that, but that's what Poirier does. He can make things competitive until it isn't competitive, and you end up looking up at the lights because he's got some serious knockout power. But yeah, prior to that, had the 3 straight wins over Arnold Allen, the Korean Zombie, Justin Gaethje, lost to Volkan, a pretty decisive loss. Like, you know, I remember the big talk with Holloway and Volkanovski. The rematch was that, you know, Holloway should have won that fight, but the third fight, Volk really did win that fight. So yeah, he's coming in winning, having won 3 of his last 4 fights. So we'll see how he looks. 12 knockouts, 12 decisions, 2 submissions. And you look at Poirier here, similar record here, 16 knockouts, 7 submissions. So both these guys looking to finish. Now, as far as a pick for this one, and again, I'll dig into this one a little bit deeper when I do the early look for this card. But I think it's tough. I'm kind of, I did have a pick in my head, but now I'm kind of second guessing myself because it's really tough to say. I mean, Holloway's younger. He is coming off a knockout. I guess you have to wonder how much that knockout's going to affect him, but granted, he'll probably be a little bit more durable at 155, not cutting as much weight. I do think Holloway does cut a lot of weight. Remember, there was a period where Holloway was cutting weight and people were like, is he even going to make 45 anymore? I think I'm going to go Holloway only because, like, he is younger, and yes, he's coming off a knockout, but like, does anyone here really see Poirier finishing him? I don't. That's the problem. And if it goes to a scorecards, now granted, it's in Poirier's backyard, there might be some influence with the crowd and the judges. You never know by that, but I could see Holloway edging this one out. The only worry is I think Poirier could land better shots and possibly take a decision here. I think regardless, I don't think we're going to see a finish here. I know, again, Holloway was finishing his last fight. I know Poirier also has a submission win over him, but I don't think that's going to happen here. I think it's just going to be an all-out war, and it's going to be really close. But I give a slight edge to Holloway, maybe just because of the age, and just because, you know, also he's, you know, Holloway's still got more left in his career. I think with Poirier, you know, when you say you're going to retire, I do think there's something that plays into that where, you know, maybe you're like, you know, what's already at the end with Holloway. You know, we don't know where his career is going to go after this. So again, I'll look at this a little bit closer, but right now my brain's kind of telling me Holloway wins this, especially since, you know, he looked very good in that Justin Gaethje fight, right? That was a very good performance from him. And, you know, I don't want to use MMA math here. Forget that it's Gaethje that he fought. He could have fought anyone in the lightweight division. The type of performance he put on against Gaethje leads me to believe that he will be very successful at lightweight. So I'm going to lean Max Holloway in a decision in this fight to get it done over Poirier and spoil the homecoming. But yeah, love this fight. Love the UFC being a little bit creative. Again, I've talked about this numerous times. They do too many events. This is why you're getting a BMF title fight headlining UFC 318 because, you know, this is what they have to do. They don't have enough people defending their titles. They don't have enough. They do too many cards, so they don't have enough opportunity to put people in those spots. But I'm not complaining about this fight whatsoever. This is a great fight, and this is where the UFC's creativity has certainly come through here. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. First and foremost, was this a fight to make? Second, what is your prediction for this fight? Early prediction. Who do you see winning this? How do you see it going down? Let me know in the comments. And where do you think this leaves some of the other lightweights? I know, again, at the time of recording this, we're still waiting to see what is, you know, like happening with some of the big fights. So what are, you know, you've got names, for example, at the time of recording this, Dan Hooker, Beneil Dariush, Arman Tsarukyan, Gamrot just got booked the other day, right? He's fighting Klein, so he's out of the mix. Paddy Pimblett. Like, what do you think some of the matchmaking is going to look like going forward in the lightweight division? Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.